Absolutely. This was a big deal. I've gone on record before saying I don't like the Nets solely because of their defense. This was a game where the Lakers were missing LeBron James and Anthony Davis, and the Nets couldn't handle them. They couldn't handle the physicality of Andre Drummond. What makes them think they're going to be able to handle the physicality of LeBron and Anthony Davis? And they've made signings that people complain about, like LaMarcus Aldridge and Blake Griffin, but both those guys are below average defenders. Their defense just keeps getting worse. Like Ben Simmons said, there's only one ball, and you got to play both sides of it. And the Nets can't seem to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And Justin, how about you?
Well, I do think Jalen Brunson is good. Carmelo Anthony was in the Knicks too, so don't forget about that guy.
Who?
But I think it's Lord Marketing. He is, the most points per game out of those. He's carrying a team. He's the number one player on the team, and there's no one else really on the Jazz. I mean, who else on the Jazz is going to provide any kind of scoring or any relatively consistent offense? Almost none of them. He's kind of doing that all by himself. He's proven he can carry a team. If that Jazz team, with the picks they stole from the Timberwolves, can get some good offensive players, they're going to be something to be reckoned with, and it's because of him.
I think that Rodgers,
he's done in Green Bay. That is
whether or not he's doing this on purpose, because there are some throws he made that, as Vikings fans that we are, I think we know he doesn't make those throws usually. I think he had 5 interceptions last year. He threw 2 on 3 different throws. I think he doesn't care. He doesn't have it in him anymore to play that hard for Green Bay. But staying in that game, my reaction is I think Jameis Winston is a legitimate MVP candidate in that offense, because we saw Teddy Bridgewater, who is a okay quarterback, slightly above average. He played very well in that offense. Jameis Winston had 5 touchdowns, only threw for 150 yards because they have a lot of checkdowns and short throws, but he can sling the ball. We saw he had a 50-yard touchdown pass. Drew Brees never had one travel that far in the air in his 9,000 attempts as a Saint. So Jameis Winston gives him a different look, but they can still do their same offense, and he seemed to do it well against the Packers.
The different look is intercept.
Emma Eichhoff earned her 5th win of the season, striking out 3 batters and allowing 6 hits and 3 runs in 4 innings, while Justice Porter recorded a save with 3 strikeouts and 4 hits allowed in 3 innings. Estrada had a big game, going 3 for 4 with 4 RBIs, 2 home runs, and a double, while Spa went 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs and 2 extra base hits.
Yeah, I mean, their playoff chances are just as good as they were before. They're in the weakest division in football. Adrian Peterson still has enough in the tank to where he can help them make the playoffs. And I'm pretty sure Derrick Henry is slated to come back around playoff time. So as long as he is healthy come playoffs, I think their season doesn't change much. He's a freak of nature. We've seen running backs like that come back from injuries, like the one on his teammate Peterson. So I think they'll be just fine. The Wild need to make a trade. They are in desperate need of a center. They are like the worst team in the league come face-offs, and that's just a huge stat. They need a center. One move I like is getting Mikael Granlund back. He's got chemistry with the Wild. He's been here before. The fans love him. I think the person they should trade away is Matt Dumba, because as good as he's offensively, he's very poor defensively. He makes mistakes. He costs the Wild some goals. It's just his offensive output isn't worth his mistakes on defense. So they need to make a center. I like Mikael Granlund. Get him back. I like it.
All right, Max, you look up.
All right. After last year, the Vikings, the offseason happened, and people had faith for good reason. This is a team that has talent on all levels. This is a roster that most coaches should be able to take to the playoffs and have a run. You can look at what the Rams are doing, and you can't tell me that their offense is exceptionally better than the Vikings' offense. It's not talent-wise. The only thing that's different is the coach, okay? Mike Zimmer needs to go. It's enough. It's not 1980 anymore. We have to hold the ball.
Elise?
Not the lead and hold on.
It's almost May, but the weather out here is still affecting both the baseball and the softball teams right now.
It does affect them quite a bit. I mean, the cold, it just started snowing today too, so it's just going to get even worse. But I will tell you someone who does not seem to be affecting. Jasmine Estrada just does not seem to stop hitting the ball. I mean, home run after home run, it seems, every single game.
Hey, Justin.
Now, when I look at it, you can quickly cross the Twins off. They don't have the best young talent available, I don't think. Anthony Edwards looks like he's going to be very good. This last stretch has made him much more of a, you look at him like, oh, he's good, but consistency is key. Now, it's between Krill and Justin Jefferson, and I'm taking Jefferson because Jefferson is fresh out of college. He is a rookie, and he was the top 5 receiver in the league, you can argue. And Krill Kaprizov is older. He played in the KHL. He is a professional, now playing in a different professional league, and he's doing good. But his ceiling is high, but Jefferson's is higher because he's a young rookie that blew the league by storm, and he's only going to get better. So I have to take Justin Jefferson.
All right.
Justin, we're going to start with you.
I mean, it's not that big of a competition, I think. It's Milwaukee. They have the best player in the NBA. Sorry, Thomas, I know you really wanted them, but Giannis is the best player in the NBA. He's going to carry that team. He's done it multiple times before, but they also have Drew Holiday, and if Chris Middleton's knees hold up, they have him, which are great 3-and-D players to pair with a team like that. Their bench is deep. The team is loaded. The East is not, it's tougher than the West, but the lower seeds in the East are weaker than the lower seeds in the West. So they're going to get through the first round easily. They're going to be rested and well energized for the second and third round, and they're going to easily get to the NBA championship. Bucks.
I'm here. I don't think the A's are going to make it. I think it will be the Red Sox and the Blue Jays. But back talking on the Blue Jays, I think how they swing the bat with like reckless abandon makes them so much more interesting to watch. I haven't seen a baseball team that just swings as much as they do for the offense they generate. I mean, they had 22 runs in a game just recently. I think over like 3 games they had like 50-some runs, and this is an offense that is on fire right now. They're 8-2 in their last 10. The other teams are slowing down. Red Sox and Yankees are both 4-6 in their last 10. So the Blue Jays, I think, are taking that wild card spot, and I actually like them to make it out of the American League.
Now, Mike.
I mean, the Lakers are a talented team, even without LeBron and AD. Montrezl Harrell is good. Caruso has shown flashes. Kyle Kuzma is nothing to scoff at. I think that they'll do fine. They'll sneak into the playoffs, and even if it is the 8th seed, let's not pretend like LeBron can't carry a team to the 8th seed. Plus, he has Anthony Davis, one of the best players in the league, with him, and they're on track to be healthy come playoff time. So as long as the Lakers make the playoffs, which I think they will, are you scared of the Utah Jazz, the 1 seed? I don't think you are. Are you really worried about playoff P and the Clippers? I'm not. The Lakers will be fine if they make the playoffs.
Yeah, well, Justin,
Big fan or not?
No, I don't think Brooklyn. I don't think they're the favorite, and for a couple of reasons. Number one, 3 of the guys you mentioned, Joe Harris, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden, all are below average defenders. Not even average, below average. DeAndre Jordan is their good defensive player. He only plays 17 minutes a game. That's not a lot against some of the centers you could run into. And Kevin Durant is obviously that best player. He's carried teams before, but I wonder if in the playoffs, if they start losing, can their rookie head coach, Steve Nash, control all the egos if they start losing? Kyrie says, oh, Harden, you're the point guard. Is he going to keep that mentality if Harden has 8 turnovers in a playoff game and they lose? This team has a lot of egos. I don't know how well they'll mesh in the playoffs together. I agree with Max. This is 100% a Bucks win, but I'll do you one better. This is a Todd Bowles win. He, in the Thanksgiving game, he made adjustments at halftime that changed that game dramatically, and that continued on into the Super Bowl. Todd Bowles is lined up for a head coaching job, I believe, soon, because his defense shut down the #1 offense in the Chiefs and made Patrick Mahomes look silly out there.
Or is it Kyrie or Kevin?
It's not James Harden for the reason he said. James Harden is not the guy on this team. Kevin Durant will be the guy. If you look in the past, Kyrie Irving was the guy on Cleveland before LeBron. He couldn't even get to the playoffs. Kyrie Irving was the guy in Boston. They were a discombobulated, bad team. James Harden was the guy in Houston by himself. He couldn't get it done. He was the guy in Houston with Chris Paul. He couldn't get it done. He was the guy in Houston with Russell Westbrook. He couldn't get it done. Now, Kevin Durant was arguably the guy on that Golden State Warriors team. Now, as Joey said, one of the best teams ever, but he was that guy. He is the one that put the dagger in LeBron's face to win the finals. Kevin Durant is that guy, and he's the guy on this Nets team. He's the biggest piece to this puzzle, and if he's healthy come playoff time, that's going to be the most important part. He is the key. Durant is the key.
Justin,
What are your thoughts?
You know, it pains me to say this, but the Yankees, and for the specific reasons that they have some of the their top 3 starters are some of the best in baseball.
And
the
injured.
bottom 2 guys are not good, but they have injured people that will come back and replace them, which will make that starting rotation one of the best in all of baseball. Not to mention they have the offense, okay? We've seen it time and time again. They always perform well, and they have one of the best players in all of baseball, Aaron Judge. And we've seen baseball players before where one guy in the playoffs gets hot and absolutely takes
Justin,
over the
I'm going to have to
series.
cut you off, but Thomas, what are your
For this week's top 3 plays of the week, we are going to start off with number 3. It's a 7-6 win by Olivia Fredrickson and Maria Molitor to help secure the Huskies' win 4-3 against Sioux Falls. In this match, Olivia Fredrickson played her 100th career match as a Husky.
And now heading to number 2, Raven Vanden Langenberg of the softball team reached home on 2 different occasions, once in the first when she started off the scoring, and once in the third to give the Huskies a 3-1 lead.
And this week's top play of the week isn't just one play, it's 8. Junior John Nett went 8 for 10 in a doubleheader against Sioux Falls, hitting in 8 runners and having 2 4-hit games.
Deadline.
Well, I'm going to go, Joyce, a loser, I think, is the Capitals. They gave up way too much for an average player who they basically had someone that was just as good before. But a winner for me is Pittsburgh getting Jeff Carter. He's won championships before, and come playoff time, he's going to be a guy in that locker room on that team that can really help them grow and win more games in the playoffs. That's an important piece that just because he's old, I think people overlook. I think it's pretty obvious. Like, the most impressive one is Oral Roberts, the 15th seed, getting to the Sweet 16. That's only ever been done twice in the history of the NCAA tournament. And I think that this is a really promising team. They have a guy in Asmus who has Curry range and plays a lot like Curry did on Davidson. And on top of that, they have a lesser-known guy named Kevin O'Banner who actually led them in scoring the 2 tournament games and is their leading rebounder. He's a big who can stretch the floor, shoot the 3. This is a really interesting team, and I'm excited to see their game against Arkansas.
I mean, if you look at Green Bay, they had Devontae Adams, and the rest of their receivers have been
Randall Cobb.
But look what happens when they leave. They become okay. You know, they're great with Rodgers. If you put Tanyan anywhere else,
I would be great with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, exactly.
Robert Tanyan's not good.
Exactly. If you put Tanyan anywhere else, he's not going to be the tight end he is in Green Bay. So, like, if you just get one good receiver, which I think Bateman is, I think the Ravens will be a lot better, especially with Lamar's running ability. You can't just rely on him to throw. He might just run on you. So if you're a receiver who can get open with the extended plays, they're going to have some offense generated.
And how about you?
I'm going to say that the graphic did have Minnesota in the AC, which I hope they are, but that's going to give the Nuggets a very easy first round. They're going to be well rested for almost the entirety of the playoffs. They're going to sweep probably the first or maybe second series too. They have maybe the MVP of the league on their team, Jamal Murray, a great asset and a great person to pair with Nikola Jokic. And it's just that team they're good. They've been good for a long time. They have the best offense in the West. And, teams, they have the easiest first-round matchups. The Warriors have to go against the Kings.
They're not.
We want to thank you for joining us this season on Husky Mag. This will be our last episode of the season, but make sure you tune in next year. And for the final time of the year, stay classy, Husky fans.